You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices with Vicki McManus-Peterson and Dr. Chad Johnson.
Hey everybody, this is Chad Johnson with Everyday Practices Podcast. Today with my co-host Regan Robertson. Regan, how you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal, Chadwick.
Excellent. So today we have a PDA coach, Productive Dentist Academy, not public displays of affection. Nonetheless, I publicly display to you, Callie Ward, that I love when you are around and helping me and my team, and also the teams that you work with. So as a coach, we just thought we'd welcome you today to Everyday Practices. Thanks for joining us, Callie.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Regan, how long have you known Callie-ish?
What year did you join? 2015?
You got it. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yay. Ding, ding. I should get a prize for that.
Yep. Yep.
Callie was a really exciting burst of sunshine into PDA. So PDA with a dash of appropriate PDA.
Now that you mentioned that rings a bell. So just so the listeners kind of know, Callie, why don't you tell us about yourself? Let's start off. Where are you living currently? Where are you from? That kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, I am currently living in Denver, Colorado. I moved here about 3.5 years ago from the great state of Washington. I was raised in Seattle area, and then I was in Eastern Washington for many years, raised my family there. And I have been in dentistry for a very long time, since I was 22. So many, many years up front. I've done just about every position up front. I did a very, very short stint as an assistant for about 2 weeks, suck and spit, and decided that wasn't for me. Send me back to the front, to the people and the paperwork.
You didn't like the sucking spit?
I didn't. It was not my
Regan,
not my fave.
So,
awesome.
Callie, when you start with an office, then how do you triage and help diagnose?
I love to start when I meet a practice, and I always want to start in the positive. So what do you see is working well? Because I think there's a lot of fear when a consultant's coming in that we're going to change everything. And I want them to be reassured that they already know so much. Like, I'm just going to help them kind of pick and extrapolate out the answers that they already know to solve the problems that they have. But I don't want to change everything. So if a system's not broke, I don't want to fix it. So I look at what's working well, where do you feel great? And then we, of course, we always use numbers. So I'm looking at their KPIs, what's that reflecting, what's the reality of the practice as to what their perception is, and do they equal? And then looking at, okay, where do you guys see areas that you want to improve or you want to help in? So maybe it's a recall system. Maybe it's something, maybe they need just a little bit of tweaking in their accounts receivable. Like, I want to know where they have an interest first so that we can find something that they're interested in to build on. And then we look at, okay, like, we've got those few things working, where do you want to go? What changes do we want to see? And we have to have that conversation about, change requires us to do something different. So I just want you to recognize that change is going to be a little uncomfortable and make sure that they're on board with that. So we do some very small changes first. We usually start with a huddle. Because it is a slight change, but they see the impact almost immediately, and therefore they're bought in, and they're engaged, and they're excited because they have seen the dial move a little bit.
So when you get assigned a team from high up above, from Patty, oh, there we go. My family's home from school. Sorry, we'll put a little quick clap on that one.
No way, this is real life, Chad. Real life.
Okay, well, there we go. My son is a dinosaur or something. So when you get a message from above that you've got a new team, and then where does that go from there?
So it kind of depends on the practice and what their situation is, what their history is, if they have any experience with a consultant or not. I love to start with a Zoom meeting where everybody introduces themselves. We just start where I had just mentioned. So share with me, what do you feel like is working great? Where do you see opportunities? If we could do one thing in the next 3 months for you as a practice as a whole, so the team, if we could do one thing that would make a difference on your day, what would that be? So that I have a guide. I've got goals for the doctors, which is fantastic. They're the ones that have hired us. But the team is the one, they're the vehicle that makes the change move. So I want to make sure that they feel heard and they feel like they've got a voice. A lot of times too, I'll do one-on-one calls with each team member. So 10, 15-minute calls, getting to know them, and then asking them in the privacy, so they're not surrounded by their team, of, where do you see opportunities? What are you looking to get out of this? What questions do you have for me? So that they have their own voice, and that we start to forge that relationship. So just like it's important for doctors to have the relationship with the patients and the team, it's really important for me to have a relationship with the teams that I'm working with. Mm-hmm. So that the only way you can build relationships is getting to know them. So Zoom meetings where I can see face-to-face or phone calls are huge.
Indeed.
Do you ever find it, Callie, when you meet a doctor or meet a team? I find this is really true for relationships just internally with PDA. Like, do you ever have it come up where they say, well, we're bothered about this, or we find this a challenge, and this is what we really want to solve for? And then as you invest your time and ask questions, you find out that what they really need to be working on may be in a completely different area, or maybe a deeper subject.
I do find that, and it's interesting to help them know that that's great. We want to solve that problem for sure. But I think in the discovery, in asking the questions, they're able to see what has evolved just as much as I am. So it's really, those discovery questions are huge, and sometimes that's challenging via computer.
Right.
You just don't have that. I love to get into an office within at least the first 2 months that I start coaching them, because now I really have that relationship opportunity, and I can hear what the phone calls are. I can hear how the team takes care of each other. I can see, the ebb and flow of the practice and get a real idea of what's happening. But we always want to keep our eye on the goal that they started with. But we also want to give that discovery and the opportunity for them to see that there are other areas that could be affecting that as well.
Oh, that's a really good point, Callie, that you brought up. So coming into office and actually being with them face to face, being able to feel their energy, see their expressions. You can only go so far on a Zoom call, right? So if you're there, walk us through, for any doctor that has never had a coach in practice, what does that look like and feel like?
It is, I love to show up on the day that I'm traveling there and just spend a couple of hours observing. And so I may just be asking people at the front desk, how their day is, what's great, building that relationship, but I'm also observing. I'm always observing what I hear, the phone calls, everything that's going on in the background. I may stand outside of the op, so I'm not inside the op where the patient is, but I'm definitely kind of like right out of sight, and I'm listening. I'm listening to what their flow is for the appointment. What do they tell the patient, when they first see them? Are they going right to dentistry, or are they visiting with them first? How is the hygienist handing the patient off to the doctor? Like, I'm listening and observing to everything that is happening. And all the while I'm doing that, I'm also watching how the other team members are helping out in other ops. So, is there an assistant that's really, I see her just going between op and she's helping everybody out. You're getting the pulse of what's going on in the practice, but I'm trying to be as upfront as I can. Yes. I'm not in front of the patient.
You truly are a fly on the wall. That's how it is.
Exactly.
When the coaches have come in, when Carrie and others have come into my practice, it's a fly on the wall situation. We can't, your goal also isn't to be, staring down the doctor who's trying to talk, because you want to hear them talking in normal dialogue. And so if you're making them feel awkward, then it's going to be awkward. So you kind of just hide out. In fact, a lot of times I don't know Carrie's outside of the room when she's listening to me.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, really? So she
No.
truly is very, very incognito.
Very.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that?
I love
how
it when there's an open op and you can go to the next op. And so I'll be in the other op, but listening to all that's going on in the other one. And
Yep.
that's ideal.
Oh my gosh, when I did Dr. Bruce Baird's over the shoulder, I think it was maybe it was a whole year ago. When I went and did that, it was so exciting, but it can be challenging in a busy practice to be that fly on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember standing back so the patient couldn't see me, listening, and they were going through presenting the treatment plan and all that. It was really awesome to listen to it. And then something caught her attention, and she turned to look towards me, and I have never scurried back faster in my life because I just wanted to be discreet. Didn't want her to think that anything was going on. How do you prepare the team, or how do you tell the doctor to prepare the team so that they're welcoming you and they're not coming in with that feeling of, oh, this dread, like somebody's going to be grading me, right? Like somebody's going to be watching everything that I do.
I mean, you prepare them by sharing with them that you are going to be kind of in the background and just observing. And I don't think any preparation really makes them prepared for when it happens. Mm-hmm. Once you get there though, and you're there for 10 minutes and they see that you're just hanging out in the back and you're not interfering and you don't have the book writing their notes down right in front of them. You're just watching and observing. And I think once they feel that safe zone, then they just go about their day. Like I really notice maybe a little uncomfortableness for 5-10 minutes. And then usually they're ignoring me just as much as I'm ignoring them. Right.
So you've been a coach for years. Recently, is there a pattern or a trend popping up at all? Are you still seeing wildly unique challenges to each practice, or is there some that sort of pop forward to the top of your mind? Like these are some of the things that we've been seeing recently?
I think most things are universal. I think there is a lot of challenges right now for teams with patient cancellations and no-shows, which really affects our productivity. And I think there's a lot of ways that we can counter that that aren't necessarily black and white. So are we creating value for their appointment? Do we share with them what they can expect at their next visit? Do we confirm their appointments? Do we confirm them personally, or do we just send a text message? There's lots of things that we can do to affect cancellations and no-shows. And at the heart of it is the relationship. Because honestly, if I'm the hygienist and I'm in a great relationship with my patients and I'm pre-scheduling them for 6 months later, I can say to them, can I ask you a favor? Would you do me a favor when you get this email, which you're going to get a week before your appointment, or what the time frame is, 3 weeks before your appointment? Can you do me a favor and confirm this appointment if it works for you? And if it doesn't work, can you give us a call as soon as possible? Mary, our schedule is getting so full, and I know that you really like these 4 o'clock appointments. So if this appointment doesn't end up working for you, the sooner that you let me know, the sooner I can get you rescheduled for this appointment. And 9 times out of 10, if I've developed that relationship and I've asked them to do me a favor, they're going to do it, because we don't no-show on our friends. We no-show on appointments. There's a big difference. And I like to help them understand that they do possess a lot of power in getting those patients to show up.
Boy, you did a really nice job explaining that, Callie. That is what my hygienist does, and I love it so much. I always feel like I'm in relation with my dental practice. And then another thing that they did recently, they switched from making my next schedule up at the front to when I'm right in the chair. So they just, yep. I'm done with the cleaning, I'm ready to go, and they just get me right there. And I just feel so well taken care of.
Yeah, I think the next step to that too is explaining to patients and printing out, here's what our email looks like, here's when you're going to get it, here's what our text message looks like, here's when you're going to get it, and here's what I want you to do. So if we're looking at an older generation that maybe isn't as tech savvy, it's really important for them to have that and clarity of here's what to expect, so that we're training them to respond to those messages. Because we can have 1 million responses go out, but if we don't inform them what we want them to do with it, they're not necessarily going to click through, and email goes to junk mail. And so we want to make sure that they're looking for it. And they, if we told them 3 weeks before an appointment, they're going to get an email, they're going to be looking for it and know, hey, I know I've got an appointment, but I haven't seen anything. They're going to go look for it then. That's the shift, because we've pre-framed them to know this is what's coming.
Ooh, that is a really tangible example of a soft KPI equaling a tangible KPI. So key performance indicators, I absolutely love it. The soft stuff equals the return.
Very cool.
It does.
Callie, when you are when you're getting ready to coach someone, what kind of team is your favorite team to walk into, or whether it be a well-seasoned team, a startup, a few years in? What's kind of your sweet spot for where you're looking forward to the most potential?
Honestly, it doesn't matter where you're at in practice. If you're willing to play the game, if you're willing to participate and challenge yourself, if you're willing to share with me your feelings, whether you're bought in to what the change is in or you're not bought in, as long as you're willing to engage, that's how we see growth. So it's the teams that you show up that don't participate that are really hard to move those dials. So it's really just important to be open-minded and to be willing to shift your perspective, because there's so many things that we've done in dentistry and we've done them for years and we don't know why we've done them that way. We just do them that way. And I want teams to be able to question that, just be willing to say, what if we did try it a different way? We might get a different result. And that's what we're shooting for, is a different result. So really, I'm just looking for people that are willing to play.
That's right. Very cool. Regan, any closing thoughts?
Oh,
questions?
Well, we've got some questions for her. Should I ask the question?
Yes.
Well,
no,
first,
hold on. Not the question.
No, not the question. Have you read any books or anything that's inspired you lately, Callie?
I really was impressed with extreme ownership.
Right.
What is impressive to me about that, and I think that, yes, Jocko. Yeah. I think anybody that's willing to be introspective and take responsibility is a leader. And we hear so often from doctors who want us to fix the team and it's just my team. And our culture is created by how the leader shows up and the lowest behavior that we tolerate. And so if there's an issue with our culture, everyone plays a part in it. And I want to know, what I learned from that book was extreme ownership is owning the good and the bad, and being willing to take responsibility and then affect change in the direction that we need to.
Very cool.
That's beautiful. All right, Chad, you asked the question.
No, you. I mean, you were going to get to it. And so I don't want to, I stopped you because I was like, oh crud, I haven't asked this yet. But I want to, I'll leave you with the fun.
Okay. All right, Callie, one answer only, bacon or eggs?
Eggs.
She's an egg. You said that so timidly. You listeners, you
like
can
you didn't
see her
want to
face
hurt
on the video.
Like you didn't want to hurt our feelings.
27 chickens, so I have to do eggs.
You have 27 chickens?
Yes.
Well, take some pictures of your chickens, Callie. I've never seen your chickens. I didn't even know you had any.
Yes, I'm going to market after this call and delivering 12 dozen eggs to somebody. So I've got a lot of eggs.
Oh my gosh. So Callie's also a farmer, everybody, for those who don't know. Do you have any other livestock that we should be aware of?
No, I do not. So we had 40 acres of wheat field, and they're going to turn it into sunflowers next year. So I'm super excited about sunflowers.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Now I kind of want to come visit.
Well, anytime.
Very cool. I've got to find a reason to be passing through Denver. So awesome.
Well, there is a lot of reasons to come to Denver.
Well, especially when you're in Iowa like me. Yeah. Well, everyone, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Everyday Practices. We've appreciated having PDA coach Callie Ward on board with us. And Regan, thanks again for joining us.
Absolutely.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with Everyday Practices.